Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on Happy RC Flyer here on YouTube. Today we have the Horizon Hobby, the ProBoat SonicWake 36-inch V2. This is a really cool boat and we'll show you a little bit about it today. If you haven't subscribed already, I would encourage you to. It helps grow the channel and helps grow the hobby. We are the unsponsored, unbiased perspective here on YouTube, unlike some of the other video creators, and we're not pointing any fingers at anybody. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you like that unbiased perspective, I don't make any money on the videos. I don't make any money on the products. If you purchase something in the link, it's just because I posted a link to make it easier for you to find. I don't get any kickbacks. Nobody's paying me to sell you on anything. I'm just here as another hobbyist sharing in the fun of RC, and hopefully you'll find something that brings you enjoyment too. But if you like that, you'll want to subscribe so you can get future video notifications, and you can turn the notification bell icon and click that, and that'll turn on notifications for future videos. You can like the video, share it with a friend, drop a comment or a question, and let's get into it. So here you'll see that I have the V2 version, and I might put some photos on the screen of some of the other versions. And I did have the V1 of this, and I thought it was a really cool boat, had a lot of fun with it, and wanted to upgrade and get the V2 version. So here it is. It's a 36-inch boat. At the time that I purchased this, this was the largest self-righting RC boat that I knew about anyway, and so I was pretty happy with it. Since then, here not too long ago, they've released the Super SonicWake, which is 48 inches, so it's huge. The difference with that one is it's just a lot bigger. I think the speeds are about the same as this. They say that this will do like 55 or so out of the box. I have not actually put a speed test on it. We're going to check it today. I brought my little nifty bicycle GPS speedometer, and I'll have a link in the video description if you want to purchase one of these from Amazon. I think they're like 26 bucks, so you don't have to spend a lot of money, but we're going to check the actual speed on it. To my knowledge, I did pick this up used, but to my knowledge, nothing has been upgraded. So everything is stock. All the electronics are stock. All the hardware on the back are stock. And we'll show you inside. What's cool about this is that it has the self-righting feature. So there are a lot of cool speedboats out there by a lot of different companies. I think Traxxas has some, and they are coming out with the self-righting feature as well. But you'll see that this has holes in the back of the boat. And when I first saw it, I was like, man, that's too bad. It's got some holes. It needs repaired, you know. But these are holes that pertain to these holes up here. And there's a hollow channel inside the boat. I'll show you here in a minute, inside the hull, in between the two linings of the hull. And so if you do get flipped upside down, water will come into these holes, and air, between air and water, it'll let out the water lock. And then next thing you know, within probably 30 seconds or so, maybe a minute max, it'll roll right side up, and it'll sit like that because it's still got water on this side. As you add the throttle, it picks back up on top of the water, trims out, and then all the water comes out the back holes. So that's a super cool feature if you don't like to spend half the time of running a boat on retrieving it and getting it right side up again. You'll want to pick up a boat that has a self-righting feature. So let's show you what's inside. It has these nifty little thumb screws on the sides. I haven't had any issue with this version. This is the second version, as I mentioned. The earlier version that I had, I did have some issues with those screws. They were not epoxied in very well, and so I had some of these screws were trying to strip, and I had to try to re-epoxy them in, which didn't allow me to take this canopy, the hull hatch off, whatever you want to call that. But these are just thumb screws, so that's pretty cool. Inside are all the stock electronics. I think it's a 1900 kV brushless motor. It's water cooled. It has that water cooling jacket on the exterior of the motor, which is pretty neat. I think this is a 120 amp ESC. It runs 3S to 6S. It's a smart ESC, so it has all your telemetry options and functions as well. And it's also water cooled. Everything else is pretty standard. You got a regular standard servo in there with your adjustments if you want. I'll put out another video on how to do proper maintenance to this, because you do need to keep this, I call it a drive shaft. I forget what its official name is if you wanted to order a replacement of, but the drive shaft, you do need to keep it lubricated. So if you do pick up one of these boats, don't just try to run it and get by without lubricating it. You'll want to pick up a little grease gun. I think Dynamite Electronics sells one, which is pretty cool. So Dynamite Electronics sells a kit and I'll show that to you maybe in another video. But anyway, the issue that they had with the first version is it has the rudder here, and it comes with this little rubber sheath, the little cover, the rubber cover for the rudder. And in here you'll see that it has these little indentations, and I believe they're on both sides. And these are the indentations for the water pickups. They're called water pickups. So as you're going through the water at a fairly high speed, water is forced into the rudder and up the little separate channels and goes into the boat. And so one of these goes to the ESC, the other one goes to the motor. In the V1, or the first edition of this boat that I had prior, they had issues with overheating. And if I remember correctly, I can't remember if the ESC was cooled and the motor wasn't, or if it went in, seems like it went in through the ESC and then went through the motor. I can't remember. I'll maybe explain more on the screen in post-production, but the first edition only had a single water hose attached to the rudder, and so that's something they did. Now that was an upgrade for the older one. If you want to get the other one, or you have the other one and you're having trouble overheating, you could purchase the upgrade and upgrade the new rudder, or the 2 pickup line rudder. But as far as I know, from what I look at it and what I can remember, all the trim tabs and everything are pretty much the same. I believe that the prop and the shaft and the hardware is all the same. Now, they do have upgraded props and upgraded hardware. I haven't really seen the need for that at this point, but maybe in the future, you just never know. This seems like a really nice plastic, but it is a little bit thin. It's got some structure in there. I do like the fact that it has foam up in the front of the boat, and that helps it to float. In case for some reason you did get water in here, and because it has that channel in the side, which that's what all of this is here, that's just the self-righting water channel, and so you're losing out on a lot of hull space, but it makes it so you don't have to swim out there or send a retrieval boat out to go get it when it flips. It doesn't flip very often, but it does some. It's a little windy today. We might see it flip. Usually when it flips is because you get the front end up out of the water, you're going kind of fast or cutting a corner, and we'll get some wind under it, or get on a choppy wave, and it'll bounce around and flip over. So, but anyway, here's kind of the gist of it. It has a little box here, and I do not believe that this box is totally waterproof. I did want to mention too that they had issues with the version 1. I know I mentioned that they had issues with the version 1 overheating because they didn't have enough pickup lines, but this still gets really hot. And some of the guys have had issues with these ESCs melting. For a little while, I think they were honoring it as a defect. So if you got a brand new one and you had trouble with it melting or burning up, I think Horizon, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Horizon's warranty program. Their customer service has been pretty poor recently, and that's why I encourage people to purchase things from Amazon and not actually buy directly from them. I've had some issues myself. But I did hear that they were honoring some people that had issues with melting the electronics. Anyway, for example, look at this. This is where the motor wires sit on that box, and they've gotten hot enough to melt little lines in that box. So I'll show you that today. But this boat is fast and fun, and it has the same problem as ice cream on a hot sunny day. It's a lot of fun, but it just doesn't last very long. So we're going to show you how fast it is. I have a couple, I'll pull these out in a minute, but these are Z batteries by the company Z. I don't have any smart packs with me today. It's just, I originally wasn't planning on shooting a video on this. I was just going to run it, but thought, well, maybe shoot a video on it. But these are Z batteries. They're 80C. They're both 3S, and they're 5200, and they're hard packs. So you do not have to run hard packs. I like hard packs because you can strap them in real nice, and if they're bouncing around and beating around, it doesn't bother them as much. Protects the LiPo cells. But these are pretty heavily used. I use these batteries individually, of course, in my Hobby King paramotor. You might have seen that battery in that video. I think I've even run it in the 2-meter Optera a time or two. So these are probably fairly worn out. We're not going to do the speed test with these batteries, but I just kind of want to give you an idea on how to operate the boat. So this controller is one I picked up. This actually on the bottom of it, this is for my SCX6, my big 6-scale crawler. But this does have all the lights on it. So if I'm running smart batteries, you have your telemetry for your battery voltage, which is kind of nice. This boat does kick down when your batteries go low. It will kick down into low power mode, and so it will give you enough battery at least to get it in. So if you're racing along and it cuts out and then it goes real slow, don't keep running it, bring it back in so you don't have to go and swim for it. And there are some options on adjusting the voltage cutoff on the ESC, and so maybe I'll do another video on that, but I have adjusted that. I think the timing on it and the punch and some of that kind of stuff, you can do adjustments on it, and we'll share that in a different video. But today just mostly just wanted to show you how it operates. So we have our controller turned on, our transmitter. We're gonna go ahead and plug our batteries in. Again, we don't expect to get a bunch of runtime out of these, but then when these go dead, then I'll switch over to these Gens Ace. I think they're 8,100 CPAC, and that's what we'll do the speed test on. Those are allowed to have a lot more life in them. They're fairly fresh. So you just set your canopy down on top of there, screw it in. It has a rubber seal around here. It's important that you screw it down nice and tight. You don't want to crank on it. You don't want to put pliers on it. You don't want to tighten it as tight as you can get it either. But you do want it nice and firm so it seals. So if you do flip it, it's not going to allow water to get in there, because that would defeat the purpose. I will also say that I had a friend that got one of these. It was the first version, I believe, and he put some batteries in there. He was just going to run it around the pond for a little bit, and he did not strap the batteries in real tight. He wasn't planning on being too wild, and just thought it would be okay to just kind of put them in there. And he did strap it down and everything, but didn't put them in super tight. Got out there, hit a little wave, was having some fun, and I think it was his first run, and the boat flipped or somersaulted or something, which is not that uncommon. If you're into these speedboats, you know that. But because he didn't have them strapped in real tight, the batteries moved a little bit. I think one of them came out of the strap, and if the batteries don't stay strapped in, the self-rating feature won't work. So he flipped upside down. We waited, and never did self-rate itself. So I had to end up running home and got my I can't remember what kind of boat I had. I had an airboat. I think it was maybe the Aero Trooper I was using to try to retrieve. It was before I got the tugboat. So anyway, there we are. Oh, I forgot to turn it on. Don't get carried away talking and forget to turn the boat on. It won't go very far. But again, this thing doesn't run very long. I have not put a timer on it to see how long it runs, but if you're ripping in it full throttle and you're having fun and trying to hit that top speed of 50 miles an hour, I would say, you know, it might run just for probably 2 or 3 minutes, maybe on high power. On the 8,000 milliamp packs, I think they run closer to like 5 minutes or so. But you saw how much battery room there is in there. You could put some giant batteries, maybe some 10,000 milliamp packs in there, and I've been thinking about getting some. But still, you want to make sure you're not hammering on it the whole time, because being that there's no airflow in there, these electronics and things do overheat. So the motor and ESC stay cool enough to keep running, but the wires all get really hot. So checking our rudder, we don't want to kick on our throttle just yet. I do wish, especially with these boats, especially with the race boat, I do wish that these controllers had a throttle cutoff, and that's something that I don't see with them in the ground vehicles too. I was messing around with a ground vehicle yesterday, and kind of made me wish that there was a throttle cut, because I like to use that with my airplanes, but these boats and trucks and stuff don't have it. So anyway, if I didn't mention already, the pickup lines go inside and circulate through. One goes to the motor, one goes to the ESC, and this is their exit point. So that's a good, easy way to make sure your lines are circulating. Those of you that boat in full-size watercrafts or jet skis, you know that you want to make sure that you have water coming out. It tells you that your circulator system is working and everything's being cooled. So I wish I had a RC vehicle with me here today, a crawler and a nice trailer and everything, but I don't. And we have a little bit of rocky area there. I don't want to get too wet, so this is just how I launch it. I'm just going to give it a toss. And we have some moss out there, not too far out, so I'm going to get on the throttle right away. Now you can go a lot slower if you want, but I'm trying to keep some speed up. This pond is not real deep, and we do have some moss in there, so if you slow down, it's easy to get stuck in the moss. Look at that. It just sounds cool. It looks cool with the water spraying up. Trims out real nice. You can see how it planes out real nice. The geese are not happy. These geese are such a mess to the park, they try to do stuff to get rid of them. There's full throttle. Again, that's not the top speed that it can reach because these batteries are not the spiffiest, but full throttle. It'll rip. It's a lot of fun. Rip back this way. There's full throttle. I let off the throttle to turn and full throttle. It takes just a minute to get it speed up. Oh, so it cut out there on me, so it tells you the batteries are weak. You can tell when it grabs the water, it really takes off. Let's see if I can show that to you. So watch how it takes just a minute to take off. Here's full throttle. You can tell it's really getting with the program. Has good maneuverability. When you turn, it does slow down. I think it's creating like an air bubble in line with the prop. There's full left turn at that speed. Some speeds it doesn't turn really sharp, so keep that in mind when you're still getting familiar with how to run it. I feel like I need to check my trim tabs and do some homework on that. Try a variety of options on the trim tabs because I feel like it's not trimmed out the best it could be. I really like how it hangs to the ground or to the water, but I feel like it's throwing up a little too much in one direction, like maybe the tabs are not aligned correctly. But full right turn, got a good nice turn radius. Doesn't seem to turn as sharp to the left. That's full left turn. Get up on top of the water a little bit. It turns sharper when you get more speed. See if we can get my wife wet. It is a lot of fun. Oh, there's battery. So now it's full throttled. We have just enough battery to come in. So it's still plenty fast enough, even on a day that's got some waves. But be aware when you get slower speeds, it's not going to steer as well. A little bit of reverse action there. So, I mean, it's a blast. I've messed around with boats for a while, some home-built airboats and things like that, but man, when I got into these, they've just been a ton of fun. I haven't tried any of the Traxxas boats, but I know Traxxas has been coming out with some new boats as well. See if we can get these undone. Man, that one screw is really tight. It almost seems to pull a vacuum. I think it's going, yeah. It almost seems to pull a vacuum, I think, when it gets warm. The warmth that it creates, sort of like canning, you know, it's maybe when it adjusts temperatures, it pulls a little vacuum, and if you make them really tight, it seems like they're harder to get off when you get them back. I'm going to check. I don't have a temperature gun. That is pretty warm. The motor's nice and cool, but the ESC is pretty warm. So these battery leads are pretty warm. Maybe in a future video we'll get a temperature gun and throw it on the battery leads, but they are pretty hot. So when you're racing around, it's good to keep that in mind, and especially with these 8,000 milliamp packs, they do last longer. It seems to have more power because they're a higher C rating, and that's one thing you want to pay attention to is your C rating on the pack. These, I think, they're 80C. You'll see it says right there 80C. And then here are these Gens Ace and 100C. You can see it says there it's 100C Gens Ace, but I've been really impressed with these batteries, and really turned out pretty well. I like to use them in the boat, and then I've got some other stuff that I'll be showing on the channel in the future that run in them as well. So those are pretty cool. I will go ahead, let's go ahead and put this, we'll go ahead and put them in there, hopefully letting this cool off a little bit. It's one thing, you can get a bunch of batteries and run them back to back, but you want to allow your electronics and your wires to cool down. You don't want to just hammer on them and hammer on them and hammer on them and make them get too hot and melt things. Something to think about. I do want to see if I have some room to put that GPS up in there. Let's get this thing turned on. I'm not 100% sure on this, if it's made specifically for the SonicWake 36-inch, but I do believe that Horizon sells a RC boat trailer. It's like for a 1/10 scale, and you can put this thing, strap it onto a boat trailer, and then hook your 1/10 scale crawler onto it. Or maybe you have something like the Traxxas Raptor truck, which would be pretty cool. This thing would look pretty sweet hooked up behind that. So anyway, have some ideas for this on making some modifications and changing some stuff, but we'll see how it goes. I've just been having some fun, enjoying how it is. It does have this little plug in the back. If you do get water inside and you need to drain it, you can pull this little plug out and then lean it on that corner, tip it back. Now, we have water coming off the bottom of the boat and out of here, but we don't have any water in the boat, so big thumbs up for no water in the boat. That's kind of the goal of building a boat, is you try to keep the water out. So that's a good thing. Let's see if we have our GPS set up right. I can't tell if it has a signal or not. We might move it around just a little bit. See if it's okay. Yep, there it is. It says 3 miles an hour. So we're going to go ahead and set it. And I do have a little patch of Velcro on the back, and I'm going to tuck it up in front of these batteries, up against the front of the hull. And then I'm going to push the batteries up against it, because I'm sure this boat gets tossed around when it gets out there, especially if we're going to be running a little more wild. And just get these batteries pushed in, get them pushed together. If you're running the dual packs, or maybe you can run a single 6S on it if you want. It's like other vehicles. You could put a jumper wire in there and just run a single, and just get it doubled back, get the strap doubled back there, and then pull it real tight, and make sure it's nice and tight when you strap it on. Pull it nice and tight. You don't want to rip the straps out, but you do want it nice and tight, because I'm telling you, if these come out, you'll be swimming for this thing. You definitely don't want to swim in here with their geese living in here. You can figure out why. So our things are still kind of warm. The ESC will cool down once we get racing around again with the water on it, but I just don't like when the wires get really hot. It'd be nice to have some way to circulate air in here, but as soon as you do that, then you lose your ability to have the self-rating feature, because you want to keep all the water out that you can. Okay, transmitter's over here. We're hooked up, powered up. Got the GPS in there to check the speed. Crank these down. We actually remembered to turn the boat on. That is a feature. But I've been having a lot of fun with this, if you can't see that. This thing just brings a smile to your face. Watching it, especially when you get on the controls of it, it is just a ton of fun. Okay, we got it nice and tight. Yep, everything works. You want to make sure you don't get your hand on the back of there, especially when this is powered up and it's got juice. I mean, I hate to think of what that would do or could do to your hand if you got your fingers in the prop, similar to an airplane, but this probably spins a lot faster than a lot of airplanes. The prop's pretty small. Okay, let's toss it in there, see what we got. Full left, just getting up on the water. The geese are kind of clearing the area. Just full left. Let's get into it. Listen to this thing. Wow, too cool. There's full throttle, full right turn. Probably bring some minnows up off the bottom. Look at the spray. It's like a real speedboat. It'll cover some ground pretty quick. Too cool. See if I can get it to spin out. Full right. Ah, didn't spin out. Full left. Yeah, I can't get it to flip. Sure, the heavier batteries really help too. It is just hard to stay off the throttle. There, we spun it around. Too fun. There we go. I think I figured out how to get it to spin around. Uh-oh. We don't have... Oh no! We don't have much reverse. See if it'll back up. Probably really slowly as it takes on water. That's full throttle in reverse. So that would be nice to have that adjusted. And that's what it looks like when it's got water in the chamber. And then as soon as you give it throttle, all the water shoots out, planes out. You can see the water coming out. It gets back up on the water. There it is. So I wanted to see if we could just flip it all the way, flip it, and show you how the self-righting feature works. So I don't know if I flipped this one or not. Here we go. It's not going to stay flipped. Let's get it back over here, try that again. I feel like I'm going to throw my controller in. All right, you got to point it in the direction that you're going to throttle. You don't want it to be... There we go. Now watch, it'll take a little bit, maybe 30 seconds or so. You can see it already starting to roll. And there it is. Now again, if you're over at the edge of the pond or someplace where you're pointed towards the weeds, you're not going to be able to give it throttle and pull out of it. But let's show you again. There it is, bingo. Super cool. We don't have much reverse. Let me see. Here. There we go. I had to adjust this. On this controller, I have a brake rate, and I had to adjust that. So that was the trim. The trim for the throttle. Let's try that again. I'll come in and hit reverse. Slows down pretty good. Look at that. That's pretty good reverse. That's a lot better. There we go. I really never used reverse. Never really needed it. I always try to be really careful. Wow. That's too cool. See if we can do some more spraying. I mean, you can hear once it planes out and that prop grabs some water, it is gone. I really feel like the heavier batteries help keep it planed out, sticking to the water. Ah, we almost got wet on that one. It's like ice cream. It's a lot of fun on a summer day. Just like ice cream, it'd be more fun if you had a couple of these, 2 or 3 of them. I like how these 8000s just go and go. I want to see how slow it'll go and still stay planed out on top of the water. So I'm gradually letting off the throttle. Can run pretty efficient. And you might be able to drive it a long time if you weren't running full throttle. But that's hard to do. Speed pass. Look at it. Throwing like water like a garden hose. I think that's battery. It's just running slow now. So that's full throttle. Very fun. Don't pick this up by the back and then lean it towards your pocket when you pull it out of the water. It still keeps a lot of water up in the self-righting chamber. Let's see what the top speed is on this boat. A lot of fun, guys. If you don't have a boat, man, you really need one. Uh-oh. I just keep tightening these too tight. But I'd rather have them be too tight and have to run up to the hobby box and grab a pair of pliers than to have them loose and get water up in there. Let's keep our controller out of the way so we don't bump that throttle. It'd be really bad right now. Chop up some stones and grass. Okay, let's see. What do I think the speed is? Man, I don't know. I'm not really good at judging speed on the water. If it says it does 55 out of the box, I'm going to think like maybe 45. Let's see what it says. These batteries are cooking. Whew. Let's see what our GPS says. Yeah, 45.9 is the max speed. So that's pretty good. So you might be able to get it to go a little faster. Maybe with different batteries, higher kV batteries. I don't know, look at that. This is actually a little bit, I don't know, it's looking a little bit puffy. Woo! I don't like that. They're really hot. Wow, that's really hot too. Man. Probably ran a little too hard. Got a little too warm. Yeah, the ESC is pretty hot. So there's still a cooling issue. So make sure, especially if you get some bigger batteries, you don't run it too hard. 45 looks really fast on the water. And that is a lot of fun. I'm going to leave the hatch off of it so it can continue to cool down a little bit. But there it is, guys. The ProBoat SonicWake V2. This is an exclusive color for the V2. I think both of the V2 versions, I believe, are exclusive on their graphics. So they made a black one. The V1 they made a black hull and a white hull, and they did the same with the V2 as well. Physically, as far as I could understand, as far as I can remember, as far as looking at it, they're all physically the same. So all the specs are the same, the chamber is all the same, where they mount the electronics is all the same. All of that's pretty much the same. So the version 1 is a black hull, comes with green graphics. This version 2 has a black hull, it comes with these, I almost say orange, but it's actually yellow and red graphics. And then the white hull comes with like aqua color, and I can't remember, there's a slight difference, but it's easier to get the white hull version confused with the graphics because they're slightly different but pretty similar to the version 1. So, but they did change the physical looks of it slightly in the different graphic kit. Anyway, there it is. Again, we'll have some follow-up videos with maintenance on how to show you how to grease and lubricate your drive shaft for the boat, and just to do an overall maintenance and checks on it. So hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you haven't subscribed already, I hope you'll consider doing that. That helps the channel grow, and we're here to grow the hobby. If you like the unbiased, because it's unsponsored perspective, then you'll enjoy the channel and enjoy the content we have. So don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell icon if you want to get notified of future uploads, and drop a comment or a question, some ideas maybe you have, and share the video with a friend that you think might enjoy it. We'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.